What are some of the significant challenges that you see men, fathers in particular, that are facing in today's society that maybe you and I didn't face when we were growing up or younger?
I think as a young kid, I was that very first generation where they told us little boys that if you wiggled too much, if you laughed too loud, if you were too rough during recess, that there was something neurologically wrong with your brain. There was some you were malfunctioning in some way. And we could solve that through some sort of disciplinary protocol. Sit down and shut up. We could solve it pharmacologically. We could give you some medication to numb you out. But I think that was the beginning of there's something wrong with being a little boy. And over time, that has turned into every major malady that's ever existed is because of men, because there's something wrong innately with men. There's something innately wrong with dads. There's something innately wrong with things like competition and things like conflict. There's just something wrong that needs to be fixed. And instead of saying there's something very right about those things that can get out of whack and can really hurt people. We're living now in a world, I call it the industrial failure complex. There's not a place that a man can turn unless it's some weird online chat room of a bunch of bros going, yeah, yeah, yeah. Where anybody is saying, I'm so grateful that my husband just walked through the door. I'm so grateful that my dad is in my life. I'm so grateful there are men out here doing X, Y, or Z. And so I think most men I know of never want to hurt anybody. They just want to do the next right thing. And what that next right thing has been for the last 10 to 25 years has been shut your mouth, be quiet, and disappear. It's a top-down depression, if you will. It is squash everything about you, numb yourself, go away, get under the covers, and don't be seen. And I think we've got a tragic mess on our hands.
You know, there's two components to that you speak to, the child and then the adult. When you talk about the child component, I've got three kiddos, as I've mentioned to you, two boys, 9, 7, and my 4-year-old girl, Allegra. She's the princess of the house. She runs everything, right? As little girls do. My middle kid, though, is just starting first grade. He is exactly that kid, rambunctious, excited, crazy zest for life. We're at a classical school, so they want to make sure that, their classical education, very conservative, which we love and we absolutely value. And he's still a 7-year-old boy in first grade, and, he's talking to his friends and he's getting in trouble. So that's the challenge that we still face today, right? Even in schools that have the values that we want, they're still sucking the life out of our boys. And it scares me. I mean, how can we balance that?
I mean, there's the macro and the micro. There's the micro is there will never go. I was raised by a SWAT hostage negotiator and a homicide detective, an awesome guy. Also, not a super huggy guy, right? His dad was a electrical engineer, and my great grandfather died when my granddad was 10, right? So there's not a lot of modeling for what I think is really important these days, which is before my son is 15 now, but every day of his life, I've been obnoxious about, you will know, I will look you in the eyes and I'll put my hands on your face. There's a lot of nerve endings in your face. You will know, and I will say the words, I love you and I'm glad you're my son. And there's an anchoring to that then allows a kid to go experience tough stuff, to go experience different types of adults. In my class, I want you to be free and wild. In my class, you're going to sit there and be quiet. In my class, if you have a comma out of place, it's a letter grade off. In my class, I don't care about that. I want your ideas. But if they're anchored to, my dad sees me, my dad knows me, my dad celebrates me, and that gives me the right to then be challenged. Iron sharpens iron. It's my job first in my house. And so I think it's at the micro level. My son will know demonstrably, he'll feel it in his nervous system, that his old man loves him, sees him, and cherishes him, and also holds him accountable. At the macro level, I think it's tough because you have financial restrictions. You've got to play Do I want classical education? Do I want a public school? Do I want a faith-based education? But that comes with a lot of nonsense too. I've worked in faith-based education my whole career. That comes with insanity and nonsense too. So I think you're always going to wrestle with the macros of those hard conversations. And what I want to give all parents listening is, if your kids are rooted at home, they know they're loved at home, and they have a picture of two parents that love each other, the data tells me they're probably going to be okay. And those are the things I can handle. It's a complex, messy time. For me, it starts at home at those micro things. I would also say two other things. Kids are desperate for boundaries. Like, kids have to know this is okay and this is not. This is safe and this is not. And every kid is designed to run headfirst into those boundaries and see if they're real. And most men I know have so little affirmation anywhere in their lives that the only affirmation they can self-create is, how much money am I making? What's my job title? And is my kid singing and dancing in a way that makes me look good? And what I want to tell dads is, all three of those are horrific metrics for whether you're a good man and you're a good father and you're a good husband and you're a good citizen, a good person of faith. Instead of getting mad at your 9-year-old for challenging your boundaries, for getting a note home from school, exhale and know, my kid's acting like he's 9. Anything other than that, I would be worried about, right? And it takes all the pressure off. And then I can begin to teach things like, here's a great example. You may edit this out of your show. My son, I think he was 13. My wife and him, they drove through the drive-thru at a Subway. And my wife got a couple of sandwiches, and then they came home. And I was at home. I was working on a writing project. My wife busts into the front door, and she points at me and says, "That's your kid." And I was like, uh-oh. My son busts in, and he is a great kid. And he looks at me, ghost like white, and he just goes, Dad, I did not say that's what she said. That's the first words. I was like, what do you mean? What happened? And my wife, I could see her laughing, but her face wasn't. She was trying not to laugh. And I go, what do you mean? And he said, Dad, I didn't say that's what she said. And I go, what happened? And he said, Mom got a Subway sandwich. And as she started to eat it, she said, there's no way I can fit all of this into my mouth. And he started, he's 12 years old. He's in middle school. He starts shaking, trying not to laugh. And I go, what'd you say? And he goes, all I said, Dad, was, that's not the first time I heard that today. I started dying laughing. She starts dying laughing, and he looks terrified. But it was a great opportunity to say, hey, when we're out hunting together, that's a hilarious joke. And that's your mother. So I can begin to teach him, he's got a dad that still thinks Will Ferrell's the funniest guy that ever lived. And I would have made that joke if he hadn't have. And also, there's a time and a place. There's context. There's times you got to fight the impulse to be fidgety and get your work done. There's a time when you're going to respect a teacher, and when she says be quiet, stop talking to your neighbor. That's right and that's good. And that's not rooted in you're a bad kid and something's wrong with you. It's you're loved, I see you, and that is actually a funny joke, but there's a time and a place for it. And so it's one of those, I think you root those lessons out of I love you in your mind versus how dare you, there's something broken within you. Because men will go try to fix that brokenness in a million different pathological ways.